Hello and welcome to Sport Chaser. This is going to be an absolutely phenomenal show. Today we're talking about Stefan Diggs and his trade to Houston. We're talking about March Madness as it's the Final Four and the championship game on Monday. And MLB is back. It's April. Spring has just begun. And there's some players that have been absolutely phenomenal thus far. And a historic moment already. Coming up right after this, we'll get right into it. We're going to start out in the NFL. I know it's the offseason, but some crazy big news. Stefan Diggs, wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills, has been traded, along with a 5th and 6th rounder, to the Houston Texans for a 2nd-round pick, not this year, next year. Buffalo, what are we doing? And Houston, oh boy, bring on the reins. C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. They just brought in Joe Mixon. They re-signed Dalton Schultz. And now you're going to add Stefan Diggs to that lineup? Oh my God. If you're a fantasy player, Nico Collins might take a hit. Tank Dell might take a hit. Diggs might even take a hit. But if you have C.J. Stroud, it's looking good. Houston Texans are absolutely one of my favorite teams to watch last season. C.J. Stroud is one of the best rookie quarterbacks we've seen in a long time, as he by far and away won Offensive Rookie of the Year, despite the fact that Puka Nacua was absolutely incredible as a rookie. C.J. Stroud won that and absolutely deserved to, because he is just that guy. And now you give him Stefan Diggs. The one issue with Diggs is he's a little bit of a diva. Can he keep his mind together? Physically, on the field, he is phenomenal. One of the best receivers in the entire league, no doubt. But there's a price to pay. It's not all butterflies and rainbows out there. It's sometimes a gloomy day. And Stefan Diggs has had his issues in the past, and we don't need to go into them because that's not why I'm bringing this up. But there is a little bit of a sense of precaution if you're a Houston Texans fan, because once you get to the playoffs and C.J. Stroud has all these other key contributors on his team, if Diggs doesn't get the ball as much as he wants, is that going to be a problem? He had 3 catches in that loss in the divisional game to Kansas City this season. And I have a feeling that was a big part of the reason why he might have wanted out. And we've seen in the past when Diggs doesn't get what he wants, and what he wants is reps on the field and targets, such forth. But when he doesn't get what he wants, he's the type of player, he's going to lash out. He's going to speak up about it. Can he become a team player on a Houston Texans team that is loaded with young talent? And he is now the veteran coming in to lead these guys, hopefully to the promised land for them. Can he be that guy? Or is he going to be the selfish diva that he could be? It'll be interesting to find out. But let's just say it all goes well. Let's say it goes according to Houston Texans' plan. This team is going to be dirty. It's going to be a very exciting team to watch. Stefan Diggs last year had 107 receptions, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns on the year, helped the Bills make the postseason despite having a very shaky regular season. They, for a long time, did not look like a playoff team, and then they went on a dominant win streak to end the regular season, make the playoffs, as they won that last game against the Miami Dolphins to clinch the division and the 2 seed, which means that they had home field advantage for majority of the AFC, and they went up against the Kansas City Chiefs and outright lost. They played a good game, but not enough. And Diggs was essentially a no factor. 3 receptions, 21 yards. I think that's the kind of things that he doesn't want to be happening. So can that change in Houston? Can he own the change in Houston if it doesn't? We'll find out. But I said it before, I'll say it again. This Houston Texans team is going to be absolutely incredible to watch. If you are new to the NFL, you don't know anything. You just want fun. You don't want to pick the best team. You don't want to pick the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't want the New England Patriots of old. You want a fun team. You want someone that's different, something that's interesting, and every single week you have something to look forward to. Become a Houston Texans fan. C.J. Stroud, last season in his rookie year, 4,100 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's not even mentioning the few touchdowns that he had on the ground. This guy, mentioned it before, blown out of the waters, Offensive Rookie of the Year, won it by a landslide. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon now. This team is absolutely incredible. They were the 5th best offense last year in terms of passing yards. And I know it's a bit too early to be making predictions because the draft hasn't even happened yet. We don't know where some guys are going to get traded to or where some of the best free agents are going to sign. But the Houston Texans are going to make the AFC Championship game. And I have a good feeling that they might win it too. I would not be surprised if the Houston Texans are in the Super Bowl next year. I know it might be a bold take, and I know it's probably slightly popular now because they just got Stefan Diggs. But this team's phenomenal. This offense is stacked, and it's only getting better. And over time, and when they're healthy, this team is incredible. I haven't even gotten to the defense, and I'm not going to today, but the offense is scary. They are absolutely one of the best offenses in the league, and they are in the AFC, which means they have some of the toughest competition. They won the division last year. I think they can do it again, and I think they'll make it all the way to the AFC Championship game. They just need one more win this year. I think they can do it. Moving on, we got March Madness. This is so bittersweet. It's the same thing I said with the Super Bowl. It's the Final Four. And as amazing as the Final Four is, the first word is final. It's the last couple games of the season. It's the end of the greatest tournament of all time. You hate to see it go. But while we have it, let's watch it. Let's enjoy it. Let's make the most out of it. So we're going to start off. And actually, I'm going to throw it over to myself. And I'm going to have myself take it away and introduce to you the March Madness teams.
The Final Four takes place Saturday in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm Stadium. Tip-off begins at 6:09 Eastern Standard Time as the 11-seed NC State Wolfpack takes on the 1-seeded Purdue Boilermakers. The highly doubted and probable run by the Wolfpack continues as they march into the Final Four on a 9-game win streak. This run began back in the beginning of the ACC tournament. Going into that tournament, the Wolfpack were on a 4-game losing streak and needed a miracle even just to make the tournament. They would go on to win 5 games in 5 days and earn themselves an 11th seed in March. Despite being a lower seed, NC State, led by DJ Burns, pushed through and kept that streak alive in order to make it to this point. For Purdue, the path was quite the opposite. They were one of the favorites all year long to make the Final Four and even win the championship, despite being the 2nd team to ever get upset in the first round by a 16 seed just last March. Led by likely 2-time Naismith Basketball Player of the Year, Zach Edey, Purdue is in the Final Four for the first time since 1980. The final game to determine who will play in the championship, Alabama versus UConn. Alabama's incredible offense has been a key factor why they have made it this far in the tournament in the first place, averaging just shy of 90 points per game during this tournament run. Their opponent, top-ranked UConn, who have dominated each game in the tournament, winning each contest by double-digit points dating all the way back to last year's tournament. The Huskies look to become the first team to go back-to-back since the Florida Gators in 2007, and Alabama looks to get their first championship in program history.
That's right. So we have Purdue taking on NC State. Zach Edey, DJ Burns, going to be a phenomenal matchup down low in the post. And then we have Bama taking on UConn, the best offense taking on the best team. How does that match up? It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to take Purdue to beat NC State. I love DJ Burns. NC State is a phenomenal team. And looking back on my bracket, the fact that I didn't pick them hurts me because I know hindsight bias is a thing, but it was right there. Like NC State, the hottest team, they had no chance at making the tournament. And then they won 5 games in 5 days to win the ACC tournament against some good teams too. And here they are in the Final Four, proving me wrong. Did they prove you wrong? They might have, but they're proving everyone wrong. At least if you bet against them, that is. But I'm going to take Purdue to beat NC State, head to the national championship, and I'm going to take UConn over Alabama. UConn was my team from the beginning. You guys know that. and I'm going to keep it. UConn, Purdue in the national championship. I'm sticking with my boys out in UConn. UConn is going to win. Like I said, the best is the best for a reason, and they are the best. They have absolutely dominated everyone so far in this March Madness and in last year's March Madness. I don't see anything changing. I think Alabama is actually a very good team, and like they very well could beat UConn with their offensive firepower, because UConn took on Illinois, who is the #1 ranked offense. I said Bama was. That's not true. Illinois is. UConn took on Illinois, who is the #1 ranked offense, and they went on a 30-0 run at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. They are phenomenal. But if Alabama can get hot and stay hot throughout and consistent, that will go far. And they have a good chance of winning it all if they beat UConn. But I just don't see it happening. Huskies all the way, baby. Back to back. And now we move on from football, move on from basketball, and there's a new sport. It's spring, it's April, and you know exactly what that means. It means the MLB is back. MLB baseball is back. Opening weekend and week was phenomenal, and it's now over. Here's some of the best things to keep in mind and hopefully allow you to tune in the future. There were some big things. I'm going to be getting into 2 of them. The 3 big things, though, are Mookie Betts. This guy is phenomenal. He is leading the MLB in every single batting category you can list. Every single one of them. This guy is owning the MLB right now and running with it. Running with it. The Marlins, after making the playoffs last year as a surprise team, start out 0-7. I'm not going to get into that too much because it's too early to overreact to something like that, because it's a 162-game season at the end of the day. These 7 games is not a large enough sample size to overreact to, so I'm not going to get into that. I just thought it was really interesting. But the last thing, the best thing out of anything, a no-hitter. A no-hitter. I will get to that in a minute. There's a lot more than just the fact that it's a regular no-hitter. This guy's special. Stay tuned. Mookie Betts, I mentioned, is leading every single category. What categories? Home runs and RBIs? Yeah. But like everything else too. He's leading with a 1.68 on-base percentage, .485 average, 5 home runs, which all of these lead the MLB. They all do. 11 RBIs, 14 runs, 16 hits. What more do you want? This guy is him. Mookie Betts is the real deal. He's won MVP before. He's won the World Series before. And he's hot right now. Mookie is cooking out in LA. This guy is phenomenal. And as we talk about one of the best hitters and one of the best, actually the best hitter in baseball, let's switch on over to the pitching side for someone who did the incredible no-hitter. Hit him with a no-no on the game. Ronel Blanco of the Houston Astros. This guy, probably never heard of him until his no-hitter earlier this week. Realistically, I personally had not heard of him before this. But this guy, he had 2 walks on the day to George Springer, which were the only base runners that were allowed the entire game. 2 walks. The rest, strikeouts or outs. No hitter. None. 0. Zilch. None. Houston Astros were winless after their first series, after they got swept. And this was their first game after that, and they ended up winning. So props to the Houston Astros, and props to Ronel Blanco, who I mentioned before, you probably never heard of him. This guy's 30 years old, and this was his 8th career start. It is about one of the least likely players that you could ever imagine to have a no-hitter. And this was his first start of the year. Not only that, he wasn't even guaranteed to be on the team. He was blessed earlier this month, actually in March, as him and his wife gave birth to their 2nd child. Ronel Blanco had his 2nd kid. And shortly after, he was informed by the team that he made opening day roster. This is a guy who is the most improbable story for a no-hitter. And he did it. And he did it. and he did it real well. He had 7 strikeouts in the no-no to get the Stros out of their opening week slump, and that's all it took. And that's all she wrote. Opening week was phenomenal. I hope you guys enjoyed the show just as much as you did opening week, and I hope you guys enjoy March Madness. Let me know down below in the comment section, who do you have winning it all in March Madness? Who's your MLB team? And definitely tune into the Houston Texans. It was a big Houston show. Houston Texans, Houston Astros, Ronel Blanco. But make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It helps out a lot. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. Peace.